Hey, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
This is so random, but it's so good to actually be here with you. Um, First and foremost, my name is Manga,
My name is Chanel.
and we are going to talk about dating and culture.
Yes, we are. We're going to get into it.
I mean, it's great because, especially in the states, there's such a variety of different races, culture, background, and dating is hard in general. But I don't feel that people are talking enough about how culture plays a part of it.
Yes.
So, first and foremost, Chanel, where are you from?
I'm from Brooklyn, New York.
Okay, when someone says where you from, especially first generation or straight off the boat or whatever, we ask you where you're from. So, Chanel, where are you from?
I am from Trinidad and Grenada,
All right.
aka the West Indies.
Okay. A beautiful blend.
Beautiful blend. All right, Manga, where are you from?
West Coast, Cameroon, 237 stand up. You already know. You
Oh,
already
so
know.
you're from the motherland,
Absolutely. Direct source.
the best place to be. You want to cheers on in before we get started?
Oh, yeah, cheers. What are we cheersing to? It's a thing with me and Chanel, we always cheers about something.
We do.
Um,
We're cheersing to another new experience.
and a great conversation.
Salud.
Salute.
All right. So let's get into it. So, Manga, how have your dating experiences been so far?
Dating's been
Prior to me, of course.
wow. It's been a very interesting journey. Um, I say that because I was in a long relationship before, and just getting out back into the dating field is been very a bit of a jolt, to be honest, because it's like people just move different. People move weird. Social media plays a factor to it, I feel like.
Absolutely.
And like I feel like we're in a weird I'm still trying to find myself thing. Not just me, but like the US. We're transitioning. So I see that in people often. That's trying to be like whoever, especially in Atlanta,
Oh, boy.
the land of the make believe.
Ooh,
It's so funny. It's so funny.
shots fired.
I mean, I love my city. I love my city.
It's good.
It ain't no place like Atlanta. I'll tell you that right now.
As you say,
Ain't no place. How has dating been for you?
very interesting. Um, because for me, I've dated within my generation and older. So seeing the dynamics of that and how they're different has been very eye-opening and awakening. But I will say that I've also learned a lot because based on people's backgrounds, their upbringings, and their experiences from that really show up in their adulthood, especially in their dating life. And so it's just interesting to see that and I guess, I don't know, explore. But I don't know. I was a bit discouraged to explore further.
Uh,
'Cause,
discouraged.
yeah.
Discouraged. Why?
Because there's some weirdos out here.
See, everyone.
Like they'll say one thing, but then when you do the background checks, it's saying something different.
Everyone's a little. Everyone's a snowflake. All right. Everyone's a special little snowflake. It's just if you like to see that or not.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. So culturally,
Oh,
how has your experience been? And when I say culture, I'm also talking about different ethnicities as well. Equal opportunist dater.
So, as for Chanel, as for me in my house, I've been dating black men
Okay.
from different places.
Okay.
It just seems like the Caucasians are terrified of me. So I haven't really experienced them.
Why are they so terrified of you?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out.
So in reality, we should have interviewed one of them.
Nah, because you're here.
Oh, okay.
We don't need to do that.
Um,
And it's not my preference. No shade, no tea.
why is it not your preference? I always like to ask, like, if they haven't tried it, why hasn't it been your
Well,
preference?
I've tried it in college.
Okay.
But in my true adulthood, now, no.
All right.
And I've tried it in college, and it was okay, but he was a German foreign exchange student.
So he's not
So
really.
he still was cultured.
Oh,
He
for
wasn't
sure.
like,
Right.
the others.
Yeah, I'm not trying to get you canceled. All right, cool.
But I just feel like when it comes to commonalities, like with them, it's just not present. And I also don't want to date the ones who think they're hip, who think they're woke either, because that would just upset me. So
They're trying to make a bridge. They're trying to relate to
I
you,
love that for
sis.
them, but
Oh,
they could
okay.
do that, with somebody else, a different candidate.
Sheesh.
But, my preference is the black man, 100%.
I feel you.
What about you?
I feel that when it comes to culture, all women are beautiful. There's some that I feel that are more beautiful than others. But growing up in my neighborhood was very multicultural. I mean, I had Hispanics to me. I had white people across the street. I had Egyptians to the left of me. I had Sudanese people around the corner. Like, I've always had that mosaic of community.
Okay.
So when it came to attraction, I liked who I liked.
Yeah.
I really liked who I liked. I've told you, it's about sense. Like, if you don't have a brain, then I'm really not gonna be as attractive to you or attracted to you. So
Absolutely.
if you have the general looks, that's cool, and that can just go however it can. But getting into the meat of it, if you have a brain, we can work on it. So,
Oh, that's good. I just want to insert one thing.
okay,
Growing up in Brooklyn, I've been around Hispanics and black people all my life. So coming here to Atlanta is when I really discovered other ethnicities and all the things. And so to me, it's like, because I grew up around that for so long and I was surrounded by those cultures, that's really what I knew. And it's until I came here, I was like, maybe I could explore, maybe I could step outside the box a bit. And as I mentioned, I did with a German student, but I just realized it wasn't really for me. So it's not that, I X'd them out
you gave it a shot though.
in totality, but yeah, I gave it a shot. And, different ways for different people.
Facts.
Yeah.
So you did have a question for me before, or we just off top?
I did.
Okay. Let me wet my palate because I don't even know what you're about to say.
It's good to not be predictable. I like that. All right. What are your views on gender roles?
What are my views on gender
and their
roles?
stereotypes.
Um, I lean more towards traditional gender roles, but in reality, it's like every relationship is different and unique. So if you want to be a princess, you can be a princess over there. Um, I personally need a queen. Me personally,
Okay.
because a queen, they know how to manage, but also know how to collaborate, know how to work together. Like I could be Superman and save you every time, but I need to know out of the 100%, that 15%, if something were to happen to me, you can actually do something. So
Absolutely.
when it comes to those roles, I mean, it'd be nice if you have an idea about changing the tire, but I'm not going to expect you to change the tire. Like I'm going to change the tire,
Okay.
or what type of handyman or whatever. It's just knowing that's a little bit of that security to know, like, if anything were to happen to me, you just wouldn't go limp. That's the real thing. So, and yes, guys need to know how to
Okay.
cook. Look, I'm not saying you need to be the best chef, but hey, look, personally, breakfast is my jam. I'll
This
cook.
is a fact.
I will cook breakfast, no problem. Lunch and dinner, I might freestyle a little bit. At least grill. At least know how to grill some meat. So I don't know.
Okay.
Lean more towards traditional, but definitely adjust with the person in mind.
Okay.
Is there something that you would do that you just absolutely would not do? Actually,
Absolutely would not do.
would not do. Because we have a lot of, as you're thinking, a lot of beautiful, strong, independent women out there, and sometimes it's hard to help them. It really is hard to help you because it's like I want to help, but you got it. Apparently, you can do no wrong. You can do it all. So, what is one thing that whether a guy's in your life or not, you're just absolutely not gonna do? You're gonna call some random man.
Mow the lawn.
Okay.
Because I feel like that's really heavy duty.
Really?
Because I know how to change a tire.
Oh, shout out to you. Shout out to you.
Shout out to my dad.
Shout out to your dad.
Shout out to being a daddy's girl.
Okay.
He was like, you're going to be equipped in this world. You got to know some things.
Okay.
Because if there's an emergency, I want you to be ready. So I think that's important. But let's go back to the independence piece,
Okay.
the hyper independence, so to speak, that you were referencing.
Yes.
So hyper independence is layered. And as someone who was formerly hyper independent, a lot of that stemmed from, yes, I would say being a type A personality, but also it stemmed from my parents pounding my head about being independent and not depending on anybody for anything because I should be my biggest resource.
Right.
So that's how they raised me. And growing up with that mindset, it kind of naturally happens that way where you're like, okay, if I'm resourceful on my own, then whoever I'm dealing with in the future has to add to that. But realistically, do I really need them? No. Like that was the mindset at the time. But when you evolve and you start to learn healthy dynamics of a relationship, and you also learn the tools on how to apply that and maintain it, then you can learn the difference between being independent versus being hyper independent.
So, quick question. Did you always have the desire to be with someone when you were younger?
I had my times. I wouldn't say like consistently.
I was saying that due to certain people that I've talked to in the past, where it's like because they were raised to be hyper independent,
Yeah.
the idea of union or being with someone later in life, that wasn't even a thing.
Understood.
Because, like you said, the parents or the resources, our environment beat into them hyper independence. So it's like you grow up to a certain age and you just switch. Or, for example, culturally speaking, whether it's Caribbean or African or whatever,
Yeah.
it's like, hey, focus on your books, focus on your books.
Oh.
And then you hit 20 something and they're like, oh, where's my kid? Not even the man. Where's my kid? Where's the wedding? What's going on?
What's going on?
And it's like,
What are you doing wrong? That would be the question. What are you doing wrong?
that's crazy because
Yeah.
it's like, especially older generations are out of touch with dating now.
Yes.
And then they're like, no, something's wrong with you. Because at my age, at this time, I could walk down the street and just pick up people like that. So what's going on?
Mom and Dad, this is not the 70s. My apologies in advance. It's not. We are in 2025.
Right.
In our generation, in the millennial generation, dating is just a whole different story. A whole different story.
Which I feel like they're getting to know that now, especially the ones that
Are they?
Well, yes, they are because some people, whether they've lost their loved ones or they've had a divorce or whatever like that, older in life, now they're getting into dating and they're just like, I don't know what to do with my hands. Like it's so foreign,
It's fair.
but like 4 or 5 years ago, you're like, how are you in this position? You know?
Yeah.
So
No, that's good. But back to that question, because I was on and off because I was like, yeah, I don't need nobody. Like, I'm equipped.
right.
But at the same time, when you see your parents in a healthy marriage, it's like, I do have a desire for that as well. So it was on and off for me. Now, as I got older, I was like, yeah, I need a man for sure.
Is there any particular event or instance where you just knew it switched?
Prom.
Prom?
Prom did it.
For real?
It did because initially I was like, yeah, I don't really want to go to prom with a date. I just want to be with the girls in the limo, turning up, having a good time.
Okay.
And then I started seeing how my friends' boyfriends would ask them to go to prom, and a lot of it was very romantic and very sweet.
Oh my gosh.
And I believe myself to be a romantic from day one,
Goodness.
a hyper independent romantic.
How does
at
that
the
even
time.
How does that even work? How does that work?
I know, guys, it is an oxymoron, but stay with me here.
Okay.
So after seeing that a couple times, I was like, you know, this would be nice. It would be nice to have a date and like feel special and feel thought of for prom and have a protector as well who will take me to and from our destination safely and the whole things. And I think that's what fired off that cylinder of togetherness could be a beautiful thing for me.
Yeah.
What about you? Have you always wanted relationship?
Always.
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 It's good.
I grew up in a household with a healthy marriage. I didn't have the healthy marriage. My parents had the healthy marriage. And it wasn't just them, but also like, you know, my uncles and aunts and the close childhood friends I had, they were in marriages. Their parents were in marriages. So it kind of was like common sense, like, oh, like have your partner, have your person.
And is that heavily based on culture, you think? Like the African culture?
Part of it is,
Okay.
well, my subsect.
Right.
Because if we start getting into other people, it's
Oh,
a different
boy.
part. But I mean, like I said, I've always grown up in a multicultural environment.
Yeah.
So whether it is Hispanics, Italians, Africans, like I've seen that marriage unit and how important it is to counterbalance and
Yeah.
support each other. So
It's good.
I also will say, I think because of team sports too. I mean,
Interesting. Okay, let's talk about that.
yeah, being an
Dive into
athlete
that.
or former or whatever you want to call it, I see the importance of team.
Yes.
Not gonna lie, sometimes I get frustrated and want to do it all myself. But I also know in certain scenarios, you literally can't do it unless you have a team.
Yes.
So I see a lot of sports reflect that in life, where it's like you could do it all yourself, but there is importance with having that person with you. So seeing that on the field and off the field was
Yeah.
important.
That's good. That's very good. I think culturally for me, being in a West Indian family, a lot of my aunts and uncles were married early because they grew up amongst each other.
Okay, yeah.
So the community was already there. And naturally coming together as one was a no-brainer for them, right? And I saw that as something, I saw it as something beautiful, but I didn't know how I was going to attain it being here in the States,
That's real.
where you're stepping out of your comfort zones. Like you said, you're doing sports, you're involved in different organizations, perhaps. Like, these are people who you don't know. These are perfect strangers.
Right.
So to maneuver and navigate those potential friendships, relationships, etc., I just found that to be a lot more difficult and not as realistic as how our parents came together.
I mean, they had the fairy tale culture. In a way, it's like
Yeah.
their husband was down the street and they knew them since he was 4 years old.
They were going to each other's homes for flour and sugar.
Yo,
Yes, they were.
Like, it's crazy. I'll say culturally for me, right?
Yeah.
Growing up in an African community, we will always have some type of parties, functions, whatever like that, right? And out of respect, I'll be calling people auntie, uncle.
Absolutely.
And because they had kids, that's my cousin.
Period.
That's my cousin. And the thing is, it's like, I was talking to my parents semi-recently about this. They're like, we messed y'all up.
Really?
Because now, the older we are, now we're at that age where it's acceptable to date. And I was like, this is 20 years now. I've been calling you my cousin. I can't just switch that and be like, oh
Right.
yeah, you look good today. You know?
Yeah.
Like, you can, but they try to embed what they knew over here. And because everybody my kinfolk, everybody my cousin for real, it's like, no, it's not. So that's been an adjustment because, I mean, I feel like ideally they would want me to marry an African woman, obviously.
Obviously, yeah.
And in like, ideally it would be a Cameroonian, and ideally it would be someone that I either grew up with or it's just one deviation away. But due to the environment and growing up, they didn't understand they created their own roadblock. And that sucks.
That does suck.
Because I got some fine cousins.
Oof.
But I can't talk to them.
Nope.
I can't talk to them.
Nope.
I really can't.
That would be so weird.
Oh, it is.
But that's so interesting that you mentioned that, because it's not the first time I've heard that perspective about the African culture, marrying within.
Yeah.
As far as the West Indian culture, they're a lot more open. Now, let me speak on my parents' behalf, because I don't know about everybody else.
Okay.
But as far as my parents, they've always been open to me finding love, no matter what the race or the ethnicity is. And so I've been fortunate to have parents like that who are open-minded and who are willing to accept, because for them, it's all about who I genuinely love.
Oh,
And so to them, it's like, we can't discriminate who you love because that's who you genuinely love and want to build a life with, right?
that's interesting.
So, but that's my parents. Now, I know
That's
some other West Indian parents where it will be like, nah, you will marry a Jamaican, you will marry a Trinidadian, you will marry a Guyanese, so and so, right? But for my parents specifically, I've had that freedom to choose who I want to choose, and I'm grateful to God for that. However, they do know my preference,
They do.
and they're okay with that.
Wow.
They're okay with that. So, yeah.
I think it's interesting you bring up love, because I have different thoughts on it, culturally speaking, because in one aspect, yeah, love who you love, and hopefully your parents or community support that, but also arranged marriages are still a thing.
Yeah,
And
they
if
are.
you think about the stats, they have a higher success rate.
Is that so?
Absolutely. Because they are doing that research for you,
Okay.
figuring out the personality type, figuring out the career, whether this person could be stable or not for you. And then the connection comes after I do, which is wild. But it's a higher success rate.
That's mind-boggling because it makes you think: is the love connection after genuine or is it forced? That's always been my question in my mind. It's like, okay, I understand the concept of arranged marriages,
Yeah.
but after you go through the arrangement, you get married, you're starting to learn this person from scratch
Facts.
as a human being, not somebody on paper. And then you have to develop a connection with them. Like, how is that genuine? It sounds forced in a way.
One aspect, it could feel forced.
Yeah.
But the other aspect I feel is you're gonna go through life regardless, right? You're gonna go through something. Might as well. Oh, this sounds horrible, but might as well do it with a good attitude, you know.
Wow.
Obviously, well, let me not say obviously. Hopefully, the person's somewhat attractive, but
That's important.
it's one of those things where you can build a romantic. Do you feel like you can build a romantic relationship just straight off, like no attraction, physical attraction?
No.
The house has good bones, but do you feel like you can dress it up?
No physical attraction?
I mean, let me not say none, but like a small percent, and eventually it grows.
It depends on the individual. It depends on what they value, in my opinion. Because if the house has good bones and there's a little bit of physical attraction there, some people can make that work if they're focused on the house. If they're focused on the house, right?
That's true, though. It's true.
And then there are other people where, yes, the house can have great bones and there could be a little bit of physical attraction there. However, they weigh the physical attraction heavier, even though it's a smaller percentage. So it just depends on the person. But as for me in my house, I can see that working.
Okay.
Because beauty fades. And I'm focused on the character of the person, what they value, what their morals are, their faith, where they stand, their family upbringing, what that looks like, their intellect, all the things. Like, that's what I'm looking at, because to me, that's important. That's weighted. Are you resourceful? Are you reliable? Can I trust you? Like, that's not looks.
So
And so because of that, I feel like I can develop a romantic connection that way because if we're on the same page on that arena, we should be okay. I mean, just don't be ugly though.
what is that's what do you mean? Like that's what I'm talking about.
Meaning like I'm talking figuratively and physically.
Okay.
Don't be ugly.
Would you trust your parents to arrange a marriage for you?
That's a really good question. I would say yes and no. And let's dive into that.
Okay.
So, my yes would be they can arrange a marriage based on the fundamentals of who I am and what I desire, because these are conversations I have with my parents all the time. We are that type of family where we are open, honest, and transparent.
Okay.
So that's not estranged. However, no, because there were just certain things my parents may not know about me that's very intricate and intimate to me. And so, because of that, I could see that being a gap.
Okay.
And to me, that's normal as an adult because I'm out of my parents' house. I've been out of their home for years. So, yes, they know the fundamentals of who I am, but they're not living with me on a daily basis to see the ebbs and flows of my life and how I move about things, how I think and process things. So, yeah, that's my answer. Yes and no. What about you?
No. No.
Not at all?
I wouldn't say not at all, but I feel that side story. It depends on the parent.
All right.
It depends on the parent because I feel like my mother can physically get an idea of what I'm attracted to.
Okay.
But in terms of the good bones that I would want, like we're all in the same household, so she has the general gist. But her version of the good bones is not my version of the good bones.
Okay.
So like physically, I feel like she would get it, but then when it gets to the meat of it, it wouldn't work. But on the flip side, my dad would know what, because me and my dad, we low key like this. So
That's good.
he would get it on what I would like, but physically, I'd be like, Dad, what are you doing? What are you doing?
What are you doing, Dad?
And because the margin of error is too high for my liking,
Yeah.
I just say no. No.
I respect it.
I definitely have an uncle that goes back and forth from Cameroon,
Okay.
and sometimes he jokes. He's a comedian. He really is. Uncle, but
Oh,
whatever.
right.
So he has this organization. He helps a lot of people out,
Oh,
and
okay.
he had a brochure of magazines of people, and he was just like, "Hey, son, just let me know when. Pick them out from the book." I said, "Lord."
Not the book, Lord.
And it's just like, culturally, I understand. Like, that's a plug.
Yeah.
If I was completely dialed in like that, I'd be like, oh, this is perfect.
Yeah.
But in practicality, that's not going to work, big dog. That's not going to work. And for entertainment purposes, I did scroll. I did go through the book.
Of course.
But I'm like,
You can't have Unc come all the way from Cameroon and not scroll now. You got to
Yes.
scroll
Yes, I
a little
can.
bit.
yes, I can. So it's like an arranged marriage. I would feel like part of me would trust more of my friends,
Okay.
but even them, they need a little bit of guidance because they know me, but there's only one true person that knows the depth of you.
Absolutely.
And
Okay.
I feel like we should, as friends, help help offer each other services. But I do feel like there's an issue with that.
Yes.
Has any of your friends tried to set you up with a young man?
I mean, you saw my face, so you knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Oh, my dear blessed friends. You know, they want the best for me.
Is that right?
Yeah, for sure. I will say that. And when I say friends, I mean my core. So I just want to be clear on those lines.
You know who you are.
You know who you are. Shout out to y'all.
Yeah.
But my core has my best interests at heart, and they know how much I desire not only relationship, but marriage.
Okay.
Because that is my goal, is to be married.
Okay.
And so they tend to be matchmakers, y'all. And they're not professional matchmakers. So with that being said, I've been match made with some candidates my friends thought were for me. And they epically failed on that front. But at the same time, I will say that how someone is around your friends doesn't mean they are the same in a relationship
That's true.
or romantically, if you will.
That's true.
So, you know, I give them a lot of grace because who that person is around them was not around me. And so when I explained to them, you know, my experience from that person, they were in shock because it's like, oh, we never saw that side of that person or XYZ. So the intentions were in the right place.
Right.
However, I mean, how would they have known how things would have went? Because again, people operate differently when it comes to a romantic relationship. So
Has this happened more than once? Have you been set up more than once?
twice, actually.
Tough.
Twice, yeah. And it didn't work out. But you know what? It's all good because ultimately, the Lord knows the plan. So I don't look at it as something like a failure or anything of that nature. I look at it as an experience that I learned from, and we move on.
I've tried to set my friends up.
Oh, I could see you doing that.
No, they asked me. They asked me because they think I'm Mr. Fun Guy, so I know everybody. Which
Because you do.
I do not. I promise you, I don't.
He does, y'all. Anyway.
Anyway, I don't. But it's really my homegirls that's like, oh yeah, let me, talk to one of your friends or what's going on? Don't you have somebody? Like you have all these people. I'm literally hanging out with y'all. How could I hang out with them? I keep my friends in pockets.
Rightfully so.
And I'm hanging out with these people. Back in the day, and I like to curate experiences, including matchmaking. So it's like they would ask me, but I already know who's in my pocket.
That's right.
You don't want them. Like, you want them, but you don't want them.
Oof.
Because the problem with setting girls up compared to guys is that those girls are coming for your neck if something goes wrong.
Absolutely. Every time.
If a guy does that to me, they'll be like, hey, man, it didn't work out.
Okay.
What's wrong, man? She tripping. All right, bet. Done. End of discussion.
Not in our world, babes.
What? I still
It's
hear
different.
it from a couple people. And I'm like, it was one time, and I thought y'all had this common thing.
Not quite.
Not quite.
Not quite.
Not quite.
Not quite. Have you been set up by your friends for matchmaking?
Absolutely.
Ooh, let's get into it. What have your
Oh.
experiences been?
It was a little, a little spicy.
Oh,
Because the person that set me up was actually a past flame,
okay.
and she just wanted me to have somebody because she's like, you can't be in Atlanta and have nobody.
Oh boy.
And I'm like, yeah, I can. Yeah. So
Yes, you can.
she set me up with somebody's mom. And when I say somebody's mom, I'm saying somebody's mom.
Like
Like,
minivan, soccer mom.
like she had an 8th grader.
Wow.
I have no kids.
No, you don't.
So, I was, I would say for me, it was also bad because I try to pick a venue that, first of all, I told you this. I'm going to tell the camera too.
Tell them.
Look,
Tell them.
if I'm going to date, at the end of the day, I'm going to pick a place I know I like. I hope you like it too.
Oh boy.
I'm going to keep you in mind. But at the end of the day, I know I like it. So I was going with that mindset. And I picked this place that was more so like arcadey and basically adult Dave and Buster's, right?
Love it.
So that can be very loud, very active, but I'm trying to ask very intentional, thought-provoking questions. That's not the place.
No.
And mommy needed a night out.
Okay.
So I could tell that. After question 2, I said, oh, that's on me. I couldn't even, well, actually, I will share some of the blame, absolutely. Because even though this girl set me up with this other girl, come on now.
Come on. Come on.
You knew Miss Ma'am had to get home and drop her child off. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I didn't set up a conversation or the environment to have a proper first date.
Okay. Okay.
The majority is still on her, though. But anyway.
All right. So speaking of dating somebody with kids,
Yeah.
how do you feel about that?
I made it out my 20s with no kids. That's a miracle in itself.
Amen.
Look.
Amen.
So the top priority is a person with no kids. But I'm also slightly bending towards somebody that had one child.
Okay.
That's like preferably 4 and under. I say this to say it's difficult
Yeah.
because this person wants a partner. The
Yeah.
single mom wants the partner, but also they've already established certain cadences for the child.
Absolutely.
So I don't want to be in a situation where I'm trying to help and either the child's like, you're not my dad, or the mom is, well, this is what we do in this household. I'm like, okay, what am I here for? I'm here to help you and help bring you up. But clearly you are stuck in, I don't want to say survival mode, but a mode that isn't conducive to actually dating.
Yeah.
And I've
Yeah.
seen that with a couple moms. I've dated single moms now. Single moms, they a good time. I'm not gonna hold you. They are a good time. But if you're gonna actually like seriously date them, like I see the same common roadblocks. So I don't prefer them right now.
I respect that. As for me, I've had my experiences, y'all, dating men with not only a child, multiple kids.
See, that's not funny.
Okay.
That's not funny.
And
Some good juice.
based on those experiences, my preference is to not date someone with children. And to be open, honest, and transparent with you guys, I've always wanted to give my husband his first child. And it's actually deep rooted for me because of my dad's background and having a plethora of siblings from my maternal grandmother and others. So it goes to the backity back for me and how that affected me because I know how my dad was affected. And so when I think about it, it's like, is it fair to put single parents on the back burner? Not necessarily, because we're all looking for love. We all, you know, well, not we all. However, those who are open to it and who desire it are looking for love. And it's a great thing. However, dating someone with a child does have heavy responsibilities.
Absolutely.
And with those heavy responsibilities, sometimes you're like a rock caught in a hard place because it's not your child, right? But at the same time, you want to be present. You want to get to know the child. You want to make sure the child is safe and comfortable around you. That child has space to be vulnerable around you. But that can be tricky because you're not the parent. So the single parent that you're dating may take offense in some areas, and that'll cause a whole set of conflict. Then you got to deal with the dynamics of the actual parent, whether it's the father or the mother,
Right.
how to navigate that. And so, yeah, my preference is to not, but I won't rule them out in totality. It's just that I'm a lot more cautious and picky if that is the case. Now, dating somebody with multiple kids, it's a no for me, dog. However, I'm okay with one.
One.
If I would be okay with one.
If you what? If you what?
If I had to explore that option.
Okay. All right.
But I don't have to. I don't have to.
Oh my gosh. She's about to act up on camera.
I am. But you know what?
What?
We're okay.
Are we?
We're good. I'm gonna take a sip.
Okay. Thank you for this random experience. I had a date for her, okay?
He did, y'all. He did.
And this was not the date. But after the first location was shut down, the second location was shut down,
Yeah.
looking for the third, we just happened to let spontaneity take its place.
And guys,
So how do you feel about this?
I love spontaneity.
Oh,
I love adventure.
Mm-hmm.
I love surprises. I like to be put in situations where I'm challenged, new environments. And this was one of them. And I enjoyed it. And I would consider this a date.
All right.
It was wonderful.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And guys, believe it or not, this is how we are
Yeah.
on the daily, really.
Facts. You just happen to catch it on camera.
Exactly.
So
But thank you guys for your time. And hopefully tune in next time. Tune in next time. Bye.
peace.
That was cute. See, he didn't even need the phone.
I'm telling you. All
Fired
right.
off on all. What time is it? Because
About that time.
oh, it is 4:08 though.
About that time.
How long were we talking for?
48 minutes.
Wow, that's awesome. That is awesome. How cool.
Too funny, dog.
me to stand or?
It's fine.
Nah, I'm gonna sit.
How was it?
Amazing. I told him it was a fire date. He was like, this was not considered a date. I'm like, yes, it was.
That's a cool conversation.
Oh, thank you.
We were